when all this blew up, all this audience, I started getting all these followers. It just made sense to become Kommander Karl.
Right. Can you talk about the NPC thing a little bit? Like, you're very good at acting as an NPC. Are you an NPC? I have to ask.
Greetings, traveler.
Yo, what's up, y'all? My name is Nathaniel, and you are?
Kommander Karl.
I got Kommander Karl here with me, and I also have my film crew, Goof Off Collaborative, in the building, bringing you the visual today. Say what's up, Goof Off.
Yo.
That's what's up. All right, so Kommander Karl, man, you're best known for your viral internet videos. You take a bunch of random objects and you reload them as if it was like a weapon.
Yeah. Exactly. It's sort of inspired by my very much potentially troublesome addiction to first-person shooters.
Fuck yeah. All right. Well, what are some of the weapons or some of the items you've made as weapons? I've seen toasters, AirPods, a banana.
Oh, God damn, man. At this point, I don't know what I haven't done. Even like stuff I've filmed, I've tried to do stuff off the camera too. That just didn't turn out that well. So
try and name as many items as you can right now.
Vacuum toaster, lamp, stapler, mixer, like those cake mixers. A bunch of kids' toys because I got kids. A car.
Stuffed animals.
Yeah, stuffed
smoke
animals.
Alarm.
People wanted me to do my cats. I kind of tried, but they just like, I only gave it like a couple seconds. They're like, nah, I ain't doing this. I'm not doing this, fam. I'm done. So no animals. I'm not doing it to animals.
I've seen Keurigs, clocks, a label maker.
Yeah, absolutely. The label maker.
A bike pump.
A toy taco truck.
So, I mean,
the keyboard mouse.
Literally, the possibilities are endless.
There are. I mean, it boils down to the object I'm working with is does it have any slidable components, things that I can rotate? Does it have things I can remove and slap back on? So yeah, it just does the object have removable components? Does it have something I can slide back and forth? Does it have something I can rotate?
Right.
You know, it doesn't work well with something like a smartphone. Like people tell me reload my phone. It doesn't work that well. I mean, I can't twist anything. I can't remove anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, how did we meet then? You wanna let the people know how you?
Oh man, it was a Scumbag Dad shoot for sure. You know, scummy.
Good old Scumbag Dad.
He's brought a lot of people together.
Yeah.
But I can't remember which Scumbag Dad episode it was, but. Yeah, I mean, it had to have been at least a year.
It was the one that we filmed in reverse, the tenant video in reverse.
That was the first. That was the day I met you.
First day, yeah.
Yes, I remember that video.
And we had like, a guy that was, I want to say, I don't know if he owned a Bebops or
Neil.
something.
You're talking about Neil. Yeah,
Neil.
He's his family owns the Bebops franchise.
So, man, without being said, man, I'm really looking forward to getting to sit down today to do this interview. I mean, to my understanding, you don't really do interviews.
This is the first podcast I've ever done.
Hell yeah!
So I'm honored to be here, man.
Well, thank you, man. I'm honored to have you, man. Because especially since you don't usually show your face on camera, it's always the hands and the Half-Life tattoo.
Well, and I've been trying to branch away from that. You know, a lot of my followers and some of you guys have probably seen some of my other things where I'll perform ragdoll animations on camera of different games you've played, like GTA 5, 4. Red Dead Redemption, Fallout, Skyrim. And my NPC series stood pretty well on its own legs too. I'm trying to show my face and my body more,
Yeah.
And it's working. I'm starting to get recognized more. I was at Starbucks the other day and the guy was like, I've seen you somewhere. And I'm like, well, I'm a content creator. He's like, you're Kommander Karl. You're the guy who did those ragdolls.
It might be a little harder to recognize you without the helmet. Can we see the helmet?
So we got the helm here.
So what's the significance of the helmet exactly?
Well, so, I mean...
You wear it in all your videos.
Yeah, it sort of goes back to the name Kommander Karl, which was a moniker that was given to me by one of my wife's close friends in high school. This was back in like 2009. It was a long time ago. And her family, ever since then, has always called me Kommander. Like, hey, Kommander, what's up? And so when all this blew up, all this audience, I started getting all these followers, it just made sense to become Kommander Karl.
Right.
And so that the day I decided to do that, I was like, all right, let's come up with like a look. And I'm like, I guess I'd wear a helmet. So I went on Amazon and I ordered a replica M1 helmet. And this thing is incredibly lifelike. It's even down to like the same steel that they've used.
Yeah.
It's got like a plastic liner in it and everything.
Oh, shit.
Like it's very realistic.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of where the whole helmet thing came from.
When did the channel start taking off then? Or like when did you even create the channel? Was it a couple years back?
So it was actually under my, the channel was originally under my full name, just Karl Shoot. And it was back about 2019, I'd started playing with TikTok and uploading. And I tried to make attempts at making like little short comedy skits, and every single one of them always flopped. And then one day I saw Brad Scumbag Dad. It was one of his videos, and I was like, I know that guy because I know his wife. That's Hannah's husband. And I saw that he had
face on
close
Instagram.
to 1 million followers. I was like, holy shit, I should like hit this guy up because again, I know Hannah.
So when you met Scumbag, he had like 1 million on TikTok.
He was close,
or like on YouTube.
He was close to 1 million on TikTok.
Okay,
and this was back in 2019.
Okay.
So I messaged him, I think, on Facebook out of nowhere, and I told him a little about myself. At the time, I was working on, I think, Callisto Protocol, which is the kind of that survival horror game made from the same guys who made Dead Space. And he got back to me. He's like, "Hey, we should meet sometime." And so we met at Cafe DM in Ankeny. We got to talking, and he's like, "How would you like to shoot with me?" You know, and that started like everything.
So was your page like that much built out yet at that point when he was
before?
Like, let's shoot?
I had like 3 or 4 followers, and then over the course of like maybe 4 or 5 shoots with him, maybe about 6 months worth of just like getting together every now and then, I got to about 600 followers. And then,
so would you say you learned a lot from just?
Yeah, because what I learned from Brad is that like it doesn't matter what kind of idea you have, even if it seems like shit, you should just try it anyway.
Right. It's just the internet.
It's the internet.
You just drop a video.
Just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Just put yourself out there. Eventually, something will stick, and that's exactly what happened to me.
You eventually found that concept that was infinite.
I knew my niche wanted to be in gaming. And so I started thinking, like, what could I do? Well, hey, you know, I do these stupid little reloads every now and then. Why don't I try doing one on camera?
Yeah.
So the very first one, I had my DeWalt drill, and I took my phone. I opened the pop socket. I'll show you. I opened the pop socket of my phone, hold it in my mouth like this, and did a reload like this. And the video actually got somewhat decent views. I'm like, okay, I should make this better. That's when I got a tripod. I flipped the camera horizontally and I put it at 0.5x to get that wide angle look.
Right.
And then I just got my Dyson and figured out some like reload with it. I'm like, okay, that turned out a lot better. I went to bed that night thinking maybe it'll get more views. I woke up to 6 million views.
Not thinking that you'd make how many videos, countless videos after that.
I woke up 6 million views overnight. And that was it. That was the moment, like, holy shit.
And that was on TikTok
that was on
when
TikTok.
that 6 mil happened.
And I was like, this is it. I woke up, I had like 5,000 followers. So I started posting more reloads and doing more and more and more. 5,000 followers turned to 40,000, then turned to 100,000. The rest was history, man. I just kept rolling with it.
I mean, it's kind of wild to think about like that origin story, because I think a lot of people don't know that like Scumbag Dad was kind of like your start in a lot of ways.
He was. He kind of inspired me to. I think
obviously you had that within you though, because you built that channel out yourself.
Yeah.
But I think he definitely kickstarted it.
I would say he did. He was the one who sort of inspired me, because I was talking with him one day. I was like, how did you come up with this stuff? He's like, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just make something and put it out there.
Because he's an orthodontist by day. I mean, so he's a busy guy. And can we talk more about like what you do outside of the channel briefly? Because I know, that's pretty impressive to me.
So, by trade for the last like 10 years, I've been working on, I work with game engines. So like, maybe I was freelancing, and really what I did was I'd find I'd find companies that were working with game engines to make like simulations. And I'd be like, hey, I'm an environment artist. I can help make the environments for these simulations. Yeah. And then eventually started getting into game work. And so that's really what I've been doing outside of the channel. And that's what I do today. Even.
And you're currently working on the Postal game series,
I
right?
am. I did a series of skits for I didn't do it for them. I just did them out of nowhere. So I was like, oh wait, I should do Postal too. I wonder how well I can render like that game in real life. And
yeah,
it
sometimes
got their attention.
We'd be at like a shoot and you'd be like, oh, like I just rendered all of the trees shadows better in the game.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Like the little thing, those things matter though, because you're like, oh, I see this with a little more love could be that much cooler.
And that's what I've been doing for Postal 4 is I've been looking at things that I think really needed to be improved, like, for example, foliage rendering. Their trees and bushes looked like they just weren't being lit at all. And that's because the way the shader was handling them wasn't really doing it properly. So I was like, well, it's an easy fix. Just one checkbox on the shader properties and bam.
Right.
Now these trees and bushes look great. What else can I do? Well, the explosions and fire and blood and urine, like all the really, the effects that make the Postal series were really lackluster. And I went in, I spent the last couple of months fixing them. The update's out now. The game's looking way better than it has before, and we're continuing to update it.
So I want to get into like your story a little bit, and then we'll get into like, you know, the videos and later on, you know, maybe some of your creative process. What was it like growing up, man? Like, where are you from?
Well, I was born and raised just north of Austin. I was born in Austin, Texas, and I grew up just north of it in Pflugerville. My address was technically Round Rock, but we were kind of on the border there, so I spent most of my years in Pflugerville and went to all Pflugerville schools. And I mean, I was a pretty, I was kind of a weird kid, sort of a nerdy, geeky loser kid. I was bullied a lot in school throughout elementary, middle school, and then high school. I sort of found my group, and I really developed a series of close relationships that I still, you know, I'm very fond of these things. Right. There's a few people I still, you know, make an effort to talk with, and they're still all the way down in Texas. That's
what's up.
But we, you know, my high school years, man, it was great. I goofed off. You know, I didn't give a shit about my grades. I mean, geez, I was skipping classes so much in junior year that they actually sent me to court for truancy. They sent me to court for truancy.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, no, he's going to do the community service. And my mom was like, no, let's just pay the fine. So my mom, she bought me out of it. And I started to try a little harder in school, but I just didn't, I never gave a shit.
What do they think about what you're doing now with like the channel and everything?
Some of them still reach out to me and like, hey, dude, I saw your video on YouTube. You know, I saw you on Instagram or Reddit or Twitter. And
like, what about your mom and stuff too? Are they supportive of it?
My mom actually passed away 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
But, you know, when she basically had this like really aggressive cancer.
Okay.
And by the time I was even able to make it back to Texas, she was already basically on her deathbed. But there was a couple times at the hospital there where like the staff recognized me and it happened right in front of her.
Wow.
And she was kind of out of it, but I know she noticed it. And I was like, I'm famous, Ma. And I saw like a little smile go on her face. And then in the parking lot, my dad and I were walking. Someone else recognized me. Hey, you're Kommander Karl. My dad looks at me. He's like, damn, you really are famous, aren't you? I mean, that was a really pivotal moment for me. That was like I really made it moment. You know?
You did, man. I mean, I see you get recognized at the mall when we're together.
And so, you know, I told my mom, like, someday I'm going to make it real big.
I mean, how many kids want to be a YouTuber, you know? Like, God, that is like, you ask a classroom full of kids right now, they used to say astronaut, but now they're going to say YouTuber.
They're going to say YouTube. My own son.
And you live that life.
I do. My own kid. Like, he
just got one kid? How many kids
I got 2 kids, 4 and 6 years old. My oldest 6-year-old, he brags to his friends at school. Yeah. My dad's Kommander Karl. My dad makes YouTube. He's a YouTuber.
Yeah, that's got to be like the ultimate flex.
It's I mean, I try to stay humble about it, but damn, when stuff like that happens, you're just like, yeah, look at me now, you know?
Yeah.
Like all the people who picked on me in high school, like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a flex. And have some of them tried to come back around a little bit?
I've had a few of them like, hey, man, I'm so on Facebook. I'll be like, hey, man, you know, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, man, you fucking pulled my pants down in kindergarten in front of
I remember you. It's like
I remember you, dude. I remember the shit
maybe I'll make a video about you.
Don't you try to come around and be like all proud of me. You fucking hated me back then. I hate that
shit, yeah.
I know.
Too little, too late. What was the first video game you fell in love with, man, and when?
Oh man, the first game I think fell in love with was Turok Dinosaur Hunter for PC.
Wow.
I played that shit on the computer.
I didn't even know they had that. I came on that game on like Xbox or something, but like
yeah, no, this was back in like
it was
back in like
franchise?
97.
Okay.
And then we got an N64 when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and I really loved Donkey Kong 64. I mean, that I still play that game, and I feel just like I did when I was a kid.
We need like a clap soundtrack right there. Right? Should we put some of your like reload videos on screen in case people get bored of just seeing us sit here?
Yeah, what the fuck not, dude? Do it. Do the reloads, do the ragdolls, everything, man.
Okay, we got to put all that stuff on screen or something.
But yeah, Donkey Kong 64, that game was really pivotal for me because it was the first game where I wasn't actually trying to play it really for the story. I actually started to like dissect it on a technical level.
Wow.
Noticing things like, hey, these trees that I'm looking at aren't actually 3D. They're just 2-dimensional billboards that are facing me.
Right.
Like they're camera facing billboards.
Yeah. So these thoughts started to pop in your head.
That's what I would have told my 8-year-old self if I could. I'd be like, yeah, those are camera facing billboards. They do that because it saves.
Wow. That is cool, man.
And I sort of studied and noticed how games have grown over the years. And I played a lot with when Far Cry, the first one came out, I played with the level editor for that quite a bit. CryEngine, that was probably the first time I ever used a game engine. And throughout the years, intermittently, I'd play with 3D programs and I'd still notice game graphics technology growing and growing. And finally in college, I was just like, I want to do this for a living. I want to work in the game industry.
So when did you first start having to use some of that expertise on your videos in your free time? Like, was it the reload videos when you first started like, I'm going to use some of this knowledge on like the TikTok videos?
That would be when I tried to take some of the thing, like the kid's toy that I reloaded that makes the squeaky sounds.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I was like, I'm going to turn this into an actual weapon in a game. I'm going to use my game art skills. And I did it. I made that thing like into a 12-gauge shotgun.
Yeah.
And
I love how some of the like reloads, like, and obviously none of it makes sense because none of them are actual weapons, but some of them are like a shotgun sound, but then some of them would be like an Uzi or something. It's
and
like,
they change constantly too. Like the toaster at one point's been a laser weapon, then another point's been a
You've
submachine.
done melee weapons before.
I have.
Like
Tough Built. They sent me so many Tough Built. The guys who made the reloadable knife razor thing.
Okay.
It has like an actual it's a box cutter, but it has a magazine with more box cutters in it. They took notice of me and they sent me all this free shit. They still send me stuff. I was like, guys, I have enough tools now. Oh, here's a giant ass saw that you can basically cut a tree down with.
Yeah.
So
what are your like channel statistics right now? And like where are those sitting at right now?
They're going nuts right now. We'll cover this later, but TikTok's been garbage for me lately. Right. YouTube Shorts and YouTube.
But what's your TikTok at, like in followers?
Right. So on TikTok, I am sitting at 3.4 million followers.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Thank you. And then YouTube, I'm growing really quickly on YouTube right now. Last I checked, I think I just hit 480K, but I'm getting like 7,000 subs pretty much every day for the last week.
You even have hundreds of thousands on X.
I do. I have 180.
Do you have a Facebook or anything? Or
I do. I don't use it much, but I never even tried to promote my Facebook, and I somehow got 12,000 followers on there. I don't even use it. I got 120K on Instagram.
Feel free to, if you don't use it, feel free to like shout out my page on your Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Be like
Creative Freedom HQ.
Hey, cut that, clip that. All right. When did you make your? Is that everything about the statistics? Probably like
pretty much. I could tell you like generally how many views I get a day on YouTube.
What else do you want to share about that, if anything?
I guess just that like, YouTube Shorts, they came out with Shorts as like a competitor to TikTok, and it was always seen as like I was like,
it's just kind of
like TikTok's always going to be better. I disagree. I think Shorts is actually better for growth on YouTube, and YouTube they pay you more.
Look at like how the success of Instagram stories, even though that was literally a Snapchat,
Instagram's even
successful.
I know it is
successful.
Absolutely. But that's really it. About channel statistics.
Do you ever shoot real guns in real life, or is it always just fake weapons?
Absolutely. I own several rifles. I haven't shot any of them yet. I haven't had a chance to, but I did last month or 2 months ago. When I got hired at Running with Scissors, they sent me a couple of street signs with their logos on it. And sort of it's kind of unofficial, but unofficially part of employee initiation there is, or at least maybe I made that up myself, is to shoot your own holes in it, because the RWS logo sign has holes shot in it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna shoot my own holes in it, but I'm gonna go real crazy. And I went up to Minnesota. There's a place called Drive a Tank. You can literally drive a tank and crush a car, which I did. And then I shot like a plethora of machine guns, an M1A1 Thompson, a Zastava M92, all full auto. I shot a P90. I started going up. I went to an M60. I did a German MG42. We hopped over to the M240, and then I shot a 50 cal Browning M2. And I don't know if I'm using this term correctly. The pièce de résistance was the M134 Dillon. I shot a goddamn minigun. 100 rounds was gone in a second and a half.
So, needless to say, yes, you've shot some guns.
Absolutely. I've been shooting guns for. My dad taught me firearm trainings. My dad taught me firearm safety like at 8 years old.
Okay.
So I've shot guns for most of my life.
Yeah. So you've been around weapons for a minute now.
Oh yeah.
So how many reload videos do you think you've created, man? Like in total, like hundreds?
Yeah, I would say absolutely.
And like,
because
what's your most viral one, or like?
My most viral one, I did like a compilation video, 2 compilation videos. And so the first compilation video was reloads over about a few months. And I just found the ones that did the best on TikTok. And I compiled them into one video. And then that took off.
Wow.
Like I had 20 million views within the first like couple days. And not only it took off on TikTok, it took off everywhere. Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. I felt like for a whole week I owned the internet. And I had all my friends messaging me like, dude, I saw you on like TV, or I saw somebody watching your video on the bus or something. It was just everywhere.
So to my understanding, you're like the only guy that does this, right? Like I haven't seen.
I'm actually not the only guy that does this, but I think, not to toot my own horn, I'm the only guy who's done it in a way that's unique enough and interesting enough to garner as much attention. If you type in Kommander Karl on Google and click the news tab, you're going to see all the articles from 2021 from like, Nintendo Life, Polygon, all kinds of major like gaming news networks that covered you. That covered me.
Wow.
That's how I was able to get verified on TikTok or on Twitter. And then I used that verification to get verified on Twitter.
Yeah, so you're one of the few Iowa creators actually verified on
I'm the
X,
third largest. Actually, no. I'm the biggest verified creator in Iowa on TikTok. There isn't anyone else here. I've done research. If anyone wants to prove me wrong, come at me. I will absolutely.
Bro.
I will eat my words. All right, but if you all can find an Iowa creator with who's verified with as many followers as I'd have, please let me know. But as far as I know,
That's what's up.
As far as I know, I'm the biggest.
Now we're gonna get into your creative process. Do you have a list of reloads you still want to do but haven't done yet?
Yeah.
Or how does that work? How do you decide the next reload? Do you just
For a long time it was suggestions from fans like, hey, you should do a coffee machine, and like I remember someone left a comment. They're like, I imagine this guy goes to Goodwill and just stares at things like, how could I reload that? And they're exactly right. That's what I did.
That's exactly what you do.
that's what I do. I don't actually do the reloads that much anymore, to be honest.
That's funny.
Because I want to focus on other things.
I mean, there's plenty of other content that you make.
There's so much gaming content.
You do the NPC stuff, the gaming stuff. You have the Nat Geo spin-offs, the commercial spoofs. You do a lot of stuff. I've done my research on you, my friend.
I do a lot of stuff, and most of that stuff doesn't do well, but I will say the cursed healing animations, the Ragdoll series, and the NPC stuff, infinite content right there. I mean, there's so many games I can spoof and just recreate in real life, and people just go apeshit over it.
Do you have any favorite reloads you've done? I think you compiled a video of your favorite reloads.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier about one. There's another one for 2022 that I did, and that didn't have like the total virality as the first one, but that video is my most viewed video on TikTok, sitting at, almost 80 million views now.
80 million
views for that second compilation. Just on TikTok.
That is insane.
I haven't counted my total views yet, but like from that and knowing the other videos I have on there that have in the double-digit millions, and then on YouTube and Twitter, it's got to be close to 1 billion views worldwide at this point.
How long does it typically take you from start to finish for like a reload video, let's say?
It varies widely, man. I've done a reload Like I've done like 2 or 3 reloads in a matter of like 5 minutes and edited them. I edit from my phone mostly. I use a program called InShot because all I usually do is just the cuts. I use motion blur.
Yeah. Yep.
Use motion blur to mask my cuts so that I can do all kinds of crazy shit. Things have gotten a lot more complicated now because I've started using After Effects to add like actual special effects to some of my stuff, which went over pretty well. And so now, I mean, After Effects is like a super essential part of my workflow.
What's crazy to me is like not only are the reload video concepts kind of infinite because you could just find any item and just kind of infinitely like keep doing it for items, but I also think that like the creativity you have for videos can be infinite, the possibilities, because if you know animation, like literally any idea in your head, it's like Green Lantern. It's like the Green Lantern ring. Like whatever you think, you can just like create and like
exactly. I mean,
that's insane. The concepts you could do for videos.
It is. My most recent one, my most recent compilation I did. I called it the soft and fluffy edition. I reloaded like a teddy bear with removable batteries. I did a laundry basket. Like I just kind of let my imagination go.
But
crazy.
Even aside from the reload stuff, right? Like I've seen you do like a Nat Geo spinoff where like your cat was chilling in a sink or something, and you're like, it looked like the Nat Geo show just because you're good enough at edits and everything else.
Yeah, just like the edits and
the
the voiceover, which I did on my HyperX quadcast downstairs.
That is cool stuff, man. Can you talk a little bit about any role models or creative inspirations you have? Like, are there any other YouTubers you watch or
YouTubers for sure?
Any inspiration?
I wouldn't say that there's any TikTokers I would find really any inspiration.
There's a lot of just like
there's cool people on there, like
random shit on there.
There's a lot of random shit, and I'm friends with some like really awesome people. It's got a really great creator community. But the people I would say that really inspired me from the beginning for like years and years now is which now I can flex that I'm friends with both of them, is JonTron and Actman. Those two guys, like those videos I probably watched the most.
Yeah.
I do also like Mudahar, G-Man Lives. Like these are YouTubers I've watched for a pretty long time. And I would say that, yeah, they absolutely were inspirations for me.
In terms of like collaborations, is it mainly just like Scumbag, but like do you collaborate with any other like bigger names?
I actually haven't collaborated with that many people. Last summer, I drove up to Toronto just for the hell of it with the family. And I found out that one of my, TikTok friends on there, Dylan, who goes by Dijon, Emperor Dijon, or Uncle Dijon, he lives in Hamilton, which is 35 minutes south of a drive from Toronto. I was like, hey, dude, I'm in the Toronto area. We should totally collab. So we did. I drove to his place and did a few collabs. He's got a size.
I appreciate you collabing with me then, man. Like showing some creative freedom love. And I mean, you've even had my sticker in one of your videos. I still have
your sticker on my laptop.
It's in one of your videos, and I appreciate that. Like it was like on your and it was just right. Easy to see.
That video was the Rattle 'em Boys.
Yeah. There was like 3 people. There was 3 of you.
3 versions of me, and they
were all like shooting at you on the couch.
I ran across that meme on Twitter. It's basically like 3 skeletons holding a Tommy gun, and it'll say they unblurred the photo. Rattle 'em boys, because on Twitter you can blur a photo and make it like NSFW, and people will always want to show that. I mean, who doesn't want to click the show button to unblur the photo? So it was like a prank. So I was like, let's make a live action version of it. So I went out, I found a Thompson,
it got a lot of views. I mean, at least to me, that was a lot.
It did pretty good. There was a Tommy gun. I actually found a modern Thompson reproduction. Well, I mean, it's made by the same people.
God, that's what you had in the video?
Yeah, I bought a fucking Thompson.
It looked legit.
It's not a full auto version. You can't. Those are really hard to get.
But it was a fucking Tommy gun.
But it's a real Tommy gun. It shoots 45 caliber. I was like, well, I'm going to use this thing because when I buy guns and use them in my videos, tax write off.
So we were talking about like your collabs for a little bit there. Do you have any standout like moments, either collabing with Scumbag or just hanging out with him?
God, I mean, every time you hang out with Brad, it's a good time. I mean, you know this from firsthand experience.
Oh yeah, I've been to a lot of Scumbag shoots at this point.
Absolutely.
But
I would say though the most fun I've ever had with Brad was anytime I was gonna die in his videos.
Yeah.
He has that squib. He has that machine where you can put liquids in and it shoots out pressurized air to shoot out liquids.
Yeah.
I died in so many Scumbag videos with that thing will hook it up to my neck and like a burst of blood will come out.
I mean, you've been there since the early days of
this
his
was
videos
early,
too.
yeah. I mean,
it's all documented.
It is.
Go back and look.
You guys,
know?
I was in Scumbag videos before I was famous.
Before you were born, kids.
That's right. So go back. You'll find me. But I mean, yeah, just all the times
just
I got
when you
hooked
die
up.
in videos.
Yeah, because it was always fun. I enjoyed the Ragdoll series because I don't know. In high school, I used to do those. I used to do these stupid little there was a big dirt mound near my high school from construction, and my buddies and I went over there one day, started climbing on top. I was like, "Hey guys, check it out! I'm gonna do a Ragdoll down this."
Yeah,
and I would Ragdoll down this fucking dirt thing. I didn't care how much it hurt. I did it,
and you're so good at it. Can you talk about the NPC thing a little bit? You're very good at acting as an NPC. Are you an NPC? I have to ask.
Greetings, traveler.
Oh shit.
No, I mean, you play enough games like I do, you notice these things, these robotic movements, these limited dialogue.
Right.
And
you've played a lot of games, I can probably safely say.
Yes.
So you pick up some.
And so for the NPC stuff, I mean, it was a no-brainer to start doing that stuff because I've noticed there were a couple other people doing it. So I'm like, let me try my hand at it.
It's kind of I've seen your NPCs be Skyrim-esque.
Skyrim, or Fallout. Yeah, Bethesda. Just Bethesda in general. Bethesda and Rockstar Games are two games where I could just do imitations of those games death animations for days and days and days.
I mean, we were talking about your job being a game developer and stuff too.
Yeah.
Are there any companies, a dream company that would it be a Rockstar, or do you like the indie ones forever,
I like I said, I worked AAA and it was fun, but it's a lot more restricted than indie work.
Right.
And with Postal 4, I have the freedom to work on anything. I can work on particle effects, or if they want me to go improve some of the assets and the cars or buildings, props, I can go do that. I have a lot more freedom. I have more, shall we say, creative freedom.
Oh. Well, if you had complete creative freedom on your channel, let's say there's nothing holding you back in terms of budget to make your videos, or let's say you had multiple animators to get your vision across, what would your channel look like? Would it look that much different, or do you feel like you already have a lot of creative freedom since you can just create whatever you want that's in your head?
It would be nice to have a few other people, on hand all the time to hey, I need you to act as this kind of person and you act as this person. But
if anyone wants to be an intern for Kommander Karl, hit him up on Instagram.
But I mean, I've done this shit mostly myself from day one, and hardly anyone's ever really shown much interest in working with me on making some of my own content. And it's fine. I'm happy doing this myself, and I'm happy to keep doing it myself. If that's how it's got to be,
Have there been any moments since you started the channel that have sparked controversy at all? Because I do know X can get a little spicy on there.
It does.
But aside from that, a video that you made that was people were pissed about or anything?
I really can't say that there's anything that has pissed people off for any particular reason.
It's
really,
pretty family friendly. I wouldn't say that, but it's not real weapons even. You're just messing around doing
Well, then I got bored of objects and I started doing real weapons.
Yeah.
Then, really no, I haven't. If you go back on X, if you go on X and try to dig something up on me, the worst you're gonna find is a now deleted tweet of just a poorly made Ukraine joke. And it wasn't even a joke about what Ukraine themselves. I was sitting on a chair, the chair broke, and then I posted on X, I was like, man, Ukraine is under constant Russian siege tactics, and here I am in the US, and I can't even have a damn chair support my fat ass.
What I do like about your jokes sometimes, though, is they are political of, there's an awareness of, you're the world's, there's a lot going on in the world right now, but I'm sitting here making these videos. There's, kind of a self-awareness about,
yeah, exactly.
what I'm doing isn't quite as important than saving the world or something.
So not long after, or a year later, a couple years later, I made that joke when the invasion started. I made that joke when everyone thought Ukraine was done for, and they've been kicking the Russians' asses to high hell. So a couple years later, recently, I said something about how how I love Russians, because I love everyone from all kinds of different parts of the world. And so I didn't mean the people, I should have been more clear. I didn't mean the Russians that are pro-war, which, to be honest, I don't know how many actually are. But I know that there are ones out there that have had to flee the country that didn't want the war to begin with. And that I feel for those people. But then, like, it got somehow twisted that I love genocide and I support Ukrainian genocide. Like, someone tried to get me fired.
The internet's gonna find a reason to get mad at you.
They tried to get me fired from RWS, and everyone was able to see through their bullshit. RWS is like, you're fine, man. Don't, like, there's some crazy people out there.
So you recently tweeted out, though, speaking of your Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, that you're
no one calls it X.
uploading to TikTok. Like, at least for now. Can you talk about why that is?
So really, what it boils down to is, and I think a lot of major TikTokers will feel this way, is that I think TikTok in general is pretty apathetic towards their creators. They're not very good at showing their creators that they care about them and that they prioritize them for the long run. And really what started this was I saw a video from, I think I'm saying his name right, Wanaya, the Angry Reactions guy, posted, and it's his latest video as far as I know, about how TikTok has not been showing his followers his videos, and he's having people from 2020.
Like he's getting shadow banned.
Well, not that. It's just like they're not pushing your fucking videos out to your. I have 3.4 million followers, and if I post any video,
it's going to guarantee get like the first wave of.
It gets like a first wave of people who are like major fans or who are on their following.
So
tab.
if it was like very little, you'd be like, that's weird.
But it tapers off all the time. I can't get anywhere above 60,000 views in the first week. I have 3.4 million followers. Where the fuck are all of them? TikTok's not showing them any of that stuff.
Right.
Because how TikTok works is if people are swiping past your video, even your followers are swiping past it, it's just not going to show your followers. They're not going to show it to them, even though they follow you. And so, I mean, it's part of their algorithm. I get it. But like, let me give you an example. When I hit 100,000 on TikTok, did they send me anything to say congratulations? No, they didn't say me shit. They didn't care. When I hit 1 million, nothing. I didn't hear anything from them. No, like, good job, you've reached 1 million. Fucking YouTube, I hit 100,000. I got a silver plaque, nice letter.
You got a trophy.
I got a trophy. I got part of the YouTube partner program. When I got banned from TikTok a year ago and the count came back mysteriously like 30 minutes later, I heard from a rep there and they're like, hey, you're actually like what we would consider a high profile creator, a high potential creator. We're going to make you part of our partner program, a managed creator program where you get special access, one-to-one access to people who work at TikTok and all kinds of other benefits. Just last week, they messaged me and was like, sorry, we're going to not do it anymore.
What the hell?
They booted me off of it. And with TikTok, with YouTube, I'm a YouTube partner for life.
It's kind of like, I mean, you're in business with TikTok in a way of like, let's say if you were in like a dating relationship with someone and they're like hot and then they're cold on you all the time. It's just kind of like, you can't really work with that, you know?
It's not, it's when you've had your like 15 minutes of fame on TikTok, they just like kick you under the rug eventually. And they
don't have like a prioritization of the long-term capacity for the creators.
Because they want to move on to the next big thing.
Right.
And I think even people like Bella Porch is having like, or my friend To Touch an Emu, David, like his stuff just like, he was on top once, you know, and then, you know, we all fall off eventually, but TikTok, like it's really bad. Like we all really fell off and they don't seem to care about like getting our videos out to our followers who have followed us for years. Whereas YouTube, I'm having so much better luck with YouTube.
That's where you're headed now, right?
I'm headed to
YouTube.
I've been posting
mainly
my stuff to YouTube Shorts, and I'm not even shitting you right now. For the last week, I've been getting on average between 50 to 100,000 views every hour. I've gained almost 100,000 subs in the last week.
Wow!
And YouTube Shorts used to be trash for me. Like stuff would like take off for a second and just flatline. But TikTok would be like, oh, hey, here you go, man. This is great. Good job. Now it's completely reversed. TikTok's like, fuck you. YouTube Shorts is like, oh, yeah, bring it on. Let's get you out to that algorithm. Let's get you those sweet, sweet numbers.
So can we talk a little bit about the ways in which you monetize your channel and everything? Like, is it mainly through YouTube?
It's mainly
ads,
YouTube now. Like, this is another big complaint. TikTok came out with their, the Creator Fund years ago, and I was a part of it, and I made some good money. At one point, I was able to pay my mortgage every month with it. Then they invited me to their creativity beta program, which you only get monetized if your video is over a minute long, but the gains are way higher. And that was great for like a couple months, and now it's complete shit. They took my CPM and just nosedived. They tanked it. YouTube, I'm making more money on there with either shorts or standard content.
Can you say what does CPM mean?
CPM is like clicks per minute.
Okay.
I don't know if it's CPM or RPM, but it's the number that they assign to you basically based on like your metrics of like how much money you're making per 1,000 views.
Yeah. And do you keep pretty good like track of all of these data metrics and things like that?
Oh yeah,
to,
especially
build
on
your
YouTube.
channel
YouTube's got their creator studio, which is a really like in-depth view of like everything from who's watching your video from where, how much money you're making, all the way down to like every minute.
I'm sure you might get asked this, but do you have any advice for like an upcoming YouTuber then of like, is it just pay attention and consistency and finding your
really,
niche?
It is finding your niche. The thing is like if you get famous for one thing, right, and you try to do anything else, the people who are watching your videos are gonna be like, what is this? Why don't you do that one thing again?
I think I get in trouble with that sometimes. I'm trying to like show to my people early on that like I do more than one thing.
Show you.
Because I can't
make the content
like, just have one side of me show. Like
make the content around your face and your personality.
Yeah.
Bring those people in, because if you have 10,000 of those people versus a million of people who came for just like one or two things, you're gonna make more money with those 10,000 people.
The type of follower,
because they're there for engagement. They're there for you. They're not there to watch the monkey dance. They're there for you as a person. That would be
just some trendy TikTok dance.
Yeah, don't go for trends.
You look cute or something. It's more like I actually have this skill set that I'm like.
If you're like a good-looking person naturally, and people just like were like, wow, you're really attractive, you're gonna do really well on social media. But if you're an ugly fuck,
it's just gonna be easier.
If you're an ugly ass motherfucker like me, you gotta like work hard for it. And if you're a person like me, bring in the people who want to be there for you.
I don't think you're an ugly fuck, by the way. We're not gonna let that part slide. But listen, people like people of all types, man.
You're right. No, I think
they're like, who's this guy with the follower? I mean, because when we're at the mall, we're kind of like the popular guy. Like everyone's kind of like looking at all of us, like
Well, it's like I'm a decently confident guy, but I'm realistic about my set of skills and about my looks, and I know that. I'm not at the top of my game right now. I'm a balding fat guy.
Where's this tattoo at? Your Half-Life?
My Half-Life tattoo I've ever gotten.
Oh, you have more?
Actually, this is the only tattoo I've ever gotten. I was gonna get more, but I don't know yet. I got this because I'm a huge fan of the Half-Life series, mainly the second one. I played the first one, but the second one is really what got me through some really dark days in middle school. Like coming home from getting bullied like all the damn time.
That's a game you go to when you're trying to escape real life. Like you
exactly.
For real, that's like
in that game
I want to be different character.
Yeah, well in that game like you're a theoretical physicist who's sprung into this like world that has been invaded by the Combine, these aliens who have taken over humanity.
Right.
And you build up a resistance and you fight back and you basically. This tattoo, more than anything, is a reminder that I can do what I want if I put my mind to it, and it's also a symbol for radioactive decay, and so it sort of also became this reminder that like we're all sort of it's kind of cheesy as this sound, we're all decaying, we're all every single day you wake up like your molecular structure is changing and aging, and you're getting older, and you're going to be gone someday. And this tattoo is also just sort of a reminder of that, to just make sure that I'm living life the best I can.
Is that kind of like your motto on life, or like your code
pretty
you
much
live by of like life will end, so like live it up and follow what you're actually passionate about?
Exactly. I have this kind of stoicism on.
That's I love Stoic philosophy, so I'm glad you mentioned that.
I have sort of a stoicism when it comes to life, and things that will tend to, try to bring you down. And really, the truth is that as long as you have a pulse, you have a chance to make anything out of your life.
Yeah.
And just kind of roll with the punches, and don't worry about which road you're going down. Don't worry about which direction the river's taking you. Just float, figure it out as you go.
What other video games are you playing? And do you still play Half-Life?
I do. They're coming out with an RTX remake of Half-Life.
But the thing about those games is like it is such a big game of like, and to my understanding, right, that's the multiplayer one, right? Where like
actually, they had a multiplayer version. They had Half-Life Deathmatch, but some of the games that Valve has published that have been really popular is like Left 4 Dead,
right,
Team Fortress 2.
Right.
Which it's kind of funny because those are all games that Valve didn't actually develop. Half-Life is the only like original IP Valve developed. Everything else was just like student projects that they were like, oh, this has a lot of potential. Let's bring them on and have them develop a game for us.
So where do you see the channel going from here? I know I'm kind of like bouncing around a little bit, but
no worries,
I don't want
man.
people to get bored. So let's
So
some of the fun stuff, some of the
really right now, the short term, maybe not even short or long term, but the goal now is to get to 1 million subs on YouTube. I want that goal. I want that gold plaque. Every time I go to Scumbag Dad's house and I see that gold plaque sitting up there, I'm like,
yeah. When I see those plaques, it's definitely inspiring.
That's gonna be me. That is gonna be me. And YouTube Shorts has been working really well, so I'm just gonna keep rolling with that.
That's what's up.
But I also want to keep going with long form content. A lot of people really, there's a pretty decent sized audience for my technical deep dives in video games. I've done a few technical deep dives. That I did one on Red Dead Redemption 2 where I examined like the landscape shaders, the water shaders, and like the volumetric cloud system in that game. That series did incredibly well on TikTok, and I haven't even finished it yet. That's a big problem I have. Is there's quite a few projects that I'll start but I don't finish. But I really want to focus on long form content where I'm doing technical deep dives, and then just short form content where I'm just goofing off and being a jackass. You know.
Is there anything like exciting in the works that you kind of want to like tease during this interview? Like what?
Yeah,
like anything like on the immediate horizon? Let's say
I'm going out to Arizona. Running with Scissors is having like a Christmas dinner, so I'm flying out there in a couple weeks. We're gonna shoot some more holes in the sign.
Yeah.
And then a week later, Donut Operator, who is a big gun tuber, former ex-cop, invited me out to his creator range day on December 7th, which I really want to make it out to. But, you know, we'll shoot a bunch of machine guns and do some fun shit. Maybe
what
blow
were
some
you
stuff
doing?
up.
You just came back from Canada not too long ago.
About,
what were you doing over there?
4 or 5 months ago. Like, I just went there for fun. I was like, hey, hon, you want to take the kids and just go to Canada for no reason at all? And we did, and we drove to Toronto. It's only 13 hours from here. It's not too bad. So we drove there, and we just had some fun, man. Went to Canada's Wonderland, spent some time on the harbor.
Yeah.
Got high a bunch.
There you go. Let's talk about that GTA video that I was in that you collabed with Scumbag on. There was this GTA NPC kind of.
Yeah, it was sort of like
There was a whole trend about NPCs. We were kind of a little early on it, but.
Yeah, well, and God, don't get me started on these fucking NPC live streamers.
Oh, I hate that. I do not like that at all.
I've been doing NPC stuff before all that bullshit blew up.
But that is like just.
It's where it's at. I keep fucking scrolling and I'll see this one guy.
You would be so good at it, obviously.
I know, but
just sit there for 10 hours and just do that? Like,
my dignity is not that low yet.
No.
So. No. Whenever I see these people doing it on TikTok Live, I'm just looking at
low-hanging fruit.
It's low-hanging fruit, and it's a great way to make cash. But there are some things I'm not willing to do to make money, and that is one of them. You couldn't pay me to do a fucking NPC live stream.
For the GTA video, I mean...
Yeah, that was sort of an idea I had floating around, and really what it started out as is I wanted to sort of make a nod to the phenomenon in video games where a character is like standing on a ledge of a balcony and their foot is like practically hanging off, basically standing on nothing. And I wanted to make a nod to that. And so that's really what that video was about, was like, I wanted Brad to do like an NPC hunter thing where like you try to look at people that you come across in daily life and see if they're NPCs or not. And in that video, you can see my foot is standing on nothing off of the curb in the street. Yeah. And then when the camera pans back up, I was like, how do you explain that? I'm suddenly like, nice weather we're having. And then I just start walking away like I was.
There's a lot more to it than you think though, man. Because I remember one time you gave me pointers on how to be an NPC. And
yeah, it's just like, it's really what it's about is like you're mimicking animation state machines.
Yeah.
You know, because in video games, animations are often switching from one thing to another. It's a very dynamic process, but it's still pretty robotic. Even games like Starfield you'll play these days, when you see a character walking to a chair, they still just like sit there for a second and then they'll turn and then do an animation to sit in the chair. It doesn't look natural. It looks very robotic.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. In fact, one of my friends, he goes by Dr. Robotnik. He's a dancer. He's a street dancer. He's just like the robot. He's able to reproduce, and he's gotten really good at this. He's been collabing with Mayor Hanna. That's a big name. And they did this super viral video where all of them were acting like NPCs because these guys know how to dance, like do the robot. And if you know how to do that, your ability to replicate like early 2000s video game animations is already top notch. You guys should watch Dr. Robotnik sometime. Watch some of his shit. I'm telling you, this guy he is underrated. Honestly, he's way better of an NPC than I am.
What other like NPC content do you have out there? Like, where do you see yourself bringing out the NPC like sort of character out at? Like, is it usually for
I don't even know, to be honest. I don't even know where to take it besides just maybe do another like Sign Zero and NPC video.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I don't really know what to do with a series when it just comes to me. It just comes to me and I roll with it as long as I can until something else comes.
How do you get into your like creative space? Is there like a certain like
I'm usually just always
routine?
No. It's just always thinking. I'll be playing a game. It really actually starts with playing a certain game, and I'll notice the way a character does something. I'm like, oh, I should try like doing that in a video. And you have to play games that are well known. People aren't going to understand it and relate to it if it's like some shitty indie game from 2011 that no one's ever heard of. That's why like when games like Starfield come out, it gives me like this whole new like building full of content ideas. I guess. It's just a massive ocean of ideas that I can draw from.
Man, that's what I like about your channel is, and I know you said like, part of the success of a channel is sometimes sticking to your niche, but I like how your channel like is so much more than just the reload videos. Like, you've done some like really like legit looking spoof commercials I've seen. You've done some
Scrub Daddy
like again the Nat Geo stuff, the Ragdoll stuff, the NPC stuff, like.
And those videos just like the Nat Geo stuff, like it's just me fucking around, and I really wish those would do a little better. The one with my cat Peaches did pretty okay, and then I did one with my mother-in-law's and stepfather-in-law's dogs. They're massive German Shepherds, Thor and Emma. Thor is 180 pounds. He's the biggest dog I've ever seen. And Emma, and I did one with them and didn't do as well. So like I sort of follow. I try to follow the views. If something does well, and it's what any content creator will do.
You're like, I'm on to something.
If something does well, I'm going to keep rolling with it. And when something doesn't do well,
until it doesn't do well, like you're down to just keep it going.
10 years ago, I actually had another channel called Big Red Jew. And I used that channel to make Gary's Mod movies. Gary's Mod is a mod of Half-Life. It's like an open world.
It's also for other games, right? Gary's Mod you could use on like...
What people have done is they have taken models and characters out of other games and ported them into Gary's Mod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you can download a Mario pack, or you can get like Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War.
Yeah.
And people port them over, like the modding community ports them over to Gary's Mod. But I used to make Gary's Mod movies, and they did pretty well. I did one called Lewis Runs Out of Happy Pills, which is like a Left 4 Dead spoof. 13 million views. That's my most viewed YouTube video ever. And that video is 11 years old now. But then like I burned out. I started noticing that like the stuff that I really put a lot of passion into wasn't getting many views. And then I was like, I guess this isn't for me.
That's what kind of like deters me sometimes as a creator.
It's hard.
Like, it's the low effort stuff that goes far sometimes. And
it's
the high effort stuff that like the algorithm doesn't care about or the people don't care about.
It's really discouraging. And that's why
even this episode won't get as many views as if we just like chopped it up in a bunch of short clips and dropped it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do things for the art of it, not for like the views of it and stuff. Because it's like,
and that's how you need to do it. That's because if you're trying to be something you're not, it's not going to work. People are going to see through that shit.
Yeah.
And so I gave up on YouTube 10 years ago. I completely gave up on it. I was like, I guess I'll never be a YouTuber.
Wow. I mean, because you were there when YouTube like was early and when it started.
I was there 2014.
So you could have been, if you were early on YouTube, it could have like.
My wife and I,
crazier.
We tried to do a vlog channel together, and it was just like wasn't flowing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like either of our faults necessarily. It's just like we both just felt weird doing it. But I guarantee if we fucking did that and just stuck with it, I'd be driving a goddamn Lamborghini by now.
I mean, yeah, man. We were talking a little bit about the monetization, and you were talking about ads, but do you ever get like the sponsorships from like a brand here and there?
I have been starting to get more sponsorships. One of them fell through recently, unfortunately, but it was a War Thunder. It was going to be a War Thunder sponsorship. And I know that if I just like did more grinding and reached out to more people, I used to be represented by Viral Nation, but they actually recently, our contract came to an end. So I'm not being represented by anyone now. And I kind of like that way. Because I know that brands and sponsorships are where all the money is, but I don't want to like sell out to that yet. I really want to try to get it to where it's just basically my ad rev getting me through.
Right.
Because I'm not looking to make $50,000 a month. I'm not looking to be the richest YouTuber out there. I don't give a shit about that. I just want to make like $7,000 to $13,000 a month where I can just like support myself on that easily and my family and just live life doing what I want. I'm not looking to be rich.
Right.
I don't care about that. I just want to have enough money to where like I never have to worry about my bank account ever again. That's it.
I mean,
and that's still been really challenging to get to.
Let's talk a little bit. This is one of the last questions about the reposting. And I've seen a lot of people actually even, they'll take maybe your content. Sometimes they'll credit you, sometimes they don't.
Yes.
I'm sure that happens a lot though,
it does.
right?
And this is another frustrating thing with TikTok is they have absolutely nothing in place to help you with that. YouTube, you've got Content ID. You can literally have YouTube's like servers sniff out other people who are uploading your shit. And if they're making money on it, they'll cancel that monetization and bring it to you. TikTok doesn't have shit for that. They have their copyright infringement form, which I've filled out multiple times for people staking my shit, and they don't do anything about it. They've done nothing. TikTok's done nothing. They don't prioritize their creators. And that's why I'm moving away from them. They're my largest, it's where I've gotten my start. It's my largest following, but like that's not enough to keep me there.
What's kind of crazy to think about though is technically speaking, with all the views, you know, we talked about your analytics a little bit, but it's probably way even higher than that in views with all those reposts when you factor
in the reposts.
There's got to be a ton more people that you don't even know have seen you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be
I'm gonna tell you this.
up there.
If you put me in a room full of 30 average college students,
yeah,
I guarantee you at least half of them, maybe even more than half of them, will have seen my videos. Yeah. And some of them will know who I am.
Yeah. No, I believe you because I was at Subway just yesterday and I was like, hey, I'm about to interview Kommander Karl for my episode. He's like, oh, he has the Half-Life tattoo in his videos. So I'm like, he has a Half-Life. I hang out with you. I didn't even know that. The person at Subway knew your tattoo. I didn't know your tattoo. So I was like,
damn.
I was like, okay, because he always sees it in the videos probably when you're reloading.
A lot of people know who I am.
Yeah.
A lot of people have
really
seen my stuff.
Man.
And that's crazy. It's a crazy thing to...
I mean, even like when we're in the Scumbag videos, and you've been in a lot more than me, the amount of pull that he has too with people that see his videos is worldwide.
He gets recognized a lot more than I do, but I will tell you, everyone who's recognized him, if I told them every single time, every time he's recognized, I go up to them eventually and was like, hey, I'm Kommander Karl, by the way. I don't know if you see my stuff.
And then they freak out.
They freak out.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen that countless times. They'll freak out.
It's hilarious.
After you tell them.
And I know I shouldn't even bother saying anything.
Well,
but
it's kind of funny to like
it's
let
funny
them
to me
have that moment because they want a picture and they like, and you're the best with your fans too.
You remember that guy? We did the cocaine one where Alex was giving away cocaine to the homeless.
Recently, yes.
And we met that guy, Zach.
Yeah.
He was like freaking out. He was with a couple of people because he's like, oh my God, a Scumbag Dad. They took the picture, all that stuff like that. And then I went up to him. I was like, by the way, I'm Kommander Karl, I'm that reload guy. And he lost it. He's like, holy shit, can I get a picture with you?
Wow.
It was awesome.
Well, he like followed us out the mall, I'm pretty sure. Like he
did.
He was like,
a nice guy. Yeah.
No, he's a nice guy though. But it's just cool, man. You know, some of those interactions that you see, it really makes it feel like it's not just all the internet stuff, it's real life at that point because we're seeing real people run up to us and like.
It's very real. And honestly, it's a high I never have stopped chasing.
What's been the biggest impact you've seen since you've gotten some fame, essentially? Like has there been some crazy moments where you're like, this is getting out of hand? Like there's a lot of people grouped here or like.
Not really.
But the crazy thing, we were even at the pizza restaurant the other day or it's always somewhere, man. It doesn't matter where you're at. Someone recognizes you or
it's actually at a pretty good point right now, I would say. It's not at a point where it's getting out of hand. I have people tell me they think that I have a pretty good balance of it right now. Like I can get recognized, but it's not to the point where I still can't go to the grocery store and have people mobbing me.
And it doesn't affect your other job, it sounds like.
No, it doesn't.
They're cool with it.
It's
not like a suit and tie workplace where it's still a
RWS
creative pursuit, you know?
The games they make, you can urinate on people. RWS is not a suit and tie kind of place.
Right.
It's a studio that I'm honestly happy to call home because the people I work with are all super talented, hilarious people. And like, they're all fans of my work and it just works out. And I've been leveraging large following to help promote the game.
Perfect.
It's a win-win. So I mean, honestly, like life now is as good as it's ever been. I've had some shitty things happen this year, like my mom dying, but like I don't know, man. Like life is still getting better and better.
And we'll cut anything out that you want cut
no,
out.
No, man,
too.
You post this whole thing as it is. I don't give a shit. Like
Perfect,
I'm
man.
not hiding anything from anyone.
I think people are gonna like really like learn from your story and be inspired by like
I hope, man.
The level of like
all I've ever wanted in my whole life was to like just make something of myself. Because in high school, man, like I was destined to be nothing.
Yeah.
I had a 1.8 GPA. I almost didn't graduate. I'm pretty sure I didn't even have enough credits to graduate, but they were getting so sick of me, they just pushed me through anyway.
Right.
I was a failure at launch, dude. I was going to be nothing.
It's crazy, man, because.
But you know what though? It's my wife. Like I wouldn't be anywhere I am without her. Because she's the one who stood by me all these years. If it hasn't been for like her support, like helping me like get through college and like, I don't know, man. I think I could have gotten somewhere, but like without her, I would not have gotten nearly as far as I've been able to.
Wow.
Now. So I mean, she really like my parents. By the time they had me, they were just like burnt out. They're just like, yeah, whatever, you know. They kind of were on autopilot, and so like I didn't really have anyone to just like help.
Yeah.
Like straighten me out, and she took me on, man.
And
she did the good old I can fix him.
It's crazy. It's like you decided earlier on though, like you were kind of touching on you knew you were kind of an artist early on, but
I just wasn't sure.
Or without the reload videos, you would have like been a game developer and like
I probably would have eventually. You know? But again, she helped me a lot with that journey too, you know.
And can you talk about like the Postal? Because that's a big deal. The Postal series. I feel like that's every time I've told someone like, "Hey, I know someone that works on that," they're like, "What?"
Like the Postal 2's banned in 10 countries. I mean,
like
it's a super controversial game.
So like for you to gravitate towards working on that game, is there a story there? Like
doing skits, my NPC skits.
Right.
I did Postal 2 ones.
Right.
That got running with Scissors' attention on Twitter.
Got you. And so
that's when they followed me, and then they messaged me, and I got to talk. Eventually, I was talking with Mike J himself, who's like basically the co-founder.
Wow.
And I was like, hey, dude, like I'm actually a 3D artist. I worked on Callisto Protocol, and if you guys need some help with Postal 4, I'd be happy to do it. And I did an art test for them, which ended up being actually an asset for the game. And I did it, and I was pretty much hired on the spot. Yeah. And it's been amazing ever since then. I'm on their podcast every couple weeks, every Thursday, the No Regrets podcast. So watch
Talk about that. So how do they just plug that?
We have
what's that about?
We just basically talk about like news, like in the gaming world. We'll talk about maybe Postal 4 updates. We just shoot the shit. It's all remote, so like.
Do you have like a Twitch channel or anything?
We just go to our YouTube channel. Okay. Running with Scissors, or I think the handle is RWS Studios, and you should be able to find the podcast on there. It streams. I think it streams on Twitch. It streams everywhere because whenever I'm on YouTube, that's where I watch it. There's like a bot that sends comments from other viewers from different platforms.
Got you.
So yeah, RWS Studios. We have the No Regrets podcast. You'll see me on there.
Do you ever just like game and like put it live on Twitch though, where you're like live streaming?
I did have a lot of. I did do TikToks live, and I got really good with that at one point. I was getting a consistent 5,000 to 10,000 viewers, like at one point. Like it's not just total at like any given time.
Right.
I've gotten off of streams and ended up with 3 million views and stuff.
And why? Did that stop? Like why did that stop?
Because like it was kind of exhausting for me to like. Live streaming is exhausting. I get socially.
Because you feel like you got to keep them entertained.
You got to keep them entertained, and like I just can't do that in real time very easily. And like I'd like to think maybe eventually I can just stream again, and I'm going to.
It does seem more creator friendly over there.
It is
on Twitch.
Twitch, I'm gonna definitely get back into. I have only 1,000 followers on there, and I grew on Twitch from my TikTok live. I'm just not at a point where I can consistently game. And I'm not at a point where I can consistently make content.
Right.
I have to.
Priorities are just elsewhere.
My priorities are mostly my family, my kids.
Yeah, you've got kids. You're a busy guy.
I'm a busy dude, man. So, they're in school full time now, so I got way more time than I used to. But my goal really is I'm focused on getting YouTube to 1 million. When YouTube is at 1 million, I'll do what everyone else is wanting me to do. People say, hey, make another channel. I'll do it when I'm at 1 million on YouTube. Hey, you should live stream more. I'll do it when I'm at 1 million on YouTube.
Wow,
and I think I'm going to make
your ultimate goal. And
that's my ultimate goal.
When will it happen by?
If Like I said, man, in the last week, I've gotten 80,000 subscribers. If I can keep up this momentum,
crazy.
In about 10 weeks or less, I'll be at 1 million.
Wow.
So actually, no, sorry, I'm not mathing correctly. 80 times 10, that's 800,000. So half of that. So in about 4 to 5 weeks, if I can keep up this momentum, I will definitely be at 1 million. But it's all dependent on YouTube's Shorts algorithm. They at any point they can decide to take the videos that are getting me all these views and just because that's just the nature of the beast. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and I'm gonna keep the momentum up by reposting some of my older stuff.
Yeah.
So
last question: do you have anything else you'd like to add? I mean, I know you just don't do interviews, or I mean, you haven't done interviews, so
no. I mean,
this is your time to shine. Like, this is your moment. Like,
I mean, I just a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people ask me like, how do I start doing content? And you just start. You can't. I know that's super cliche, but just do it. Like, and get yourself a good setup. Don't get like a turbo.
Don't go cheap on the equipment.
Don't go cheap on the equipment. It's
gonna be expensive in the long run.
I mean, I use my iPhone for all my filming, and that's good enough. And I've got a nice little mic if I need to clip to my collar, and that's good enough. That's been good enough for me.
And you got your green screen, I believe, or
I
have one?
actually don't use
that was
it. I do this
screen,
the hard. I do shit the hard way. When that video where I had to make 3 copies of myself, I'm rotoscoping myself in fucking After Effects, frame by frame. And I know I shouldn't be doing that. I know I should be using a green screen, but I'm just lazy. That's honestly it. I'm just lazy. I don't feel like setting a green screen up. Rotoscoping's easy enough as it is. So
with that being said, man, this was Creative Freedom Universe, a podcast. We'll put all the streaming up eventually. I don't know when. Probably when we have like a whole season's worth, whatever you'd consider that in episodes. This is probably like episode 3 of the Creative Freedom Universe podcast. And
hell yeah, man.
You were in the first season because, man, like, I really don't want this to like slide past you. Like, we really only have like distinguished guests on here, or guests that I considered like inspiring and creative, and like, you're a very unique creative that I'm like, that's crazy that we got to like sit down with you, because
I appreciate it, man.
Especially where I'm from, man, in Iowa, there's not that many people of your caliber, even in terms of content creators with that big of a following, right?
No, there's not. There's only a handful.
Do this, man. Just appreciate that, dog.
Hell yeah, man. Absolutely.
Love.
Absolute honor to be on here. And thanks for having me. Check me out, Kommander Karl, both Ks. And check out Creative Freedom Universe, man. Come on, give the guy some fucking props. This dude grinds like hell. I guarantee he works harder than I do.
With that being said, thank you guys. Love.
Kommander out.